Well, hello. We're back at last. It's been quite some time since I've been able to stream. A lot of things have happened. Family have returned from holidays. Schools have started again, and I had quite a few challenges in getting ready for this stream. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think we are going to see quite a few interesting things that I've come up with. Maybe not so interesting for certain people, but it looks like a lot of work. It was. Have I maybe gone over the top a little bit with some of my designs? Maybe I have. It's my printer. I can do what I like. So welcome back if you're watching this at a later stage as well. Good to see people watching the stream from time to time. And yeah, for those that will be online, welcome back again. Thank you, Mr. Fig, for helping out. And Evelyn, look at how I'm battling with it. Evelyn Mighty Thunder. Hello. So, what are we doing? Well, the last time we finished off, we had pretty much built the frame and we had put the hot end together, and the next step was starting with some of the electrical wiring and the panel, pretty much the panel at the back. I've taken a special interest in doing a little bit different panel. I just thought I would go the extra mile on my side for something that I wanted to do, just because I thought it would look nice. Yeah, we'll see how that's gonna pan out. As you can already see, I've done quite a bit of work. I decided I would do some of it up front so that you wouldn't have to be bored with watching me doing it all. But what I've done is on the one side, I've left my planning and how I did it. And so I'll just run you through all of that and we will see where it goes. I just want to check, I hope the volume is all right. The audio, everything seems normal. I must say, I haven't streamed for a while, so I'm having to sort all the cameras out again and trying to figure out where everything goes. Bit of a rush to get everything done again. If you were doing back-to-back weeks, it was easier. Now I've had to change a lot of stuff around, and I've introduced myself to a new camera. So we'll see how that camera is going to work and see if that gives us a better close-up on what we're doing over here. I just want to check on the main stream. Yeah, seems like everything's running smoothly. So if you are there and you haven't put anything into the chat yet, then yeah, please put some comments into the chat and let's make it as interactive as possible. I'm just going to drop one little message before we get started. So if you just give me a couple of seconds, I just want to make sure that I fulfill my promise of letting a certain person know that we are streaming tonight, which I forgot to do because I was too busy. Any case, there it is. Done. We're in. Yes, I can understand that Evelyn is very excited. Evelyn, aka daughter, loves the Sony. I'm sure she's looking forward to using the Sony more than what I am. But I will use it first. You can have it second. Okay, so let's go to the panel. What have we done? So typically you can order a panel that is pre-drilled, and the pre-drilled panel is basically focused on the octopus board and the boards that were in the documentation. Because I'm not going to be using the board that's in the documentation, although it's very similar. I'm going to do something slightly different. The other side of the drawings as well is on the guides. They talk about having a Raspberry Pi and drawing power from the main board. I'm going to have a separate source for my power. And the reason why I want a separate source for the Raspberry Pi is because I want to keep the Raspberry Pi on, but not necessarily be having the full printer running with all its power and lights and things like that. So it just gives me a bit of flexibility to be able to shut down the main controller board, the main fans, do some work on it, but not to have to shut down the Raspberry Pi the whole time. Because the Raspberry Pi pulls almost no power, so that can just keep running in the background. So yes, that's going to be a slight bit more paraphernalia that I'm going to add onto this panel. Also take into account that I will be adding PTC heaters for active chamber heating. I think it's the right idea. I haven't seen any better idea yet. I'm hoping that at some stage we get to test it, and well, if it doesn't work, we'll change it. But I'm going to be adding some PTC heaters into the whole equation, and because I'm adding PTC heaters, these are 220 volt PTC heaters, so I will be adding additional SSR, which you will get to see at some stage as well. And then, yeah, things that I'm also going to still be adding is additional lighting. And then I've already got some modifications in planned for the printer, which I'm sort of taken into account already as part of this initial panel layout. So some of the things are future planning, and those videos will come. You know, there might be live streams and there might not be live streams. I'll have a look at it at that stage when I get to doing those modifications. But for now, I've tried to take into account and think as far forward as I can, so that I can not have to drill twice or make additional holes. That being said, what's it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 holes on one side, another 17 holes on the other side. I did a lot of drilling. So I think you might recall from the first video that this panel, I couldn't buy a black polycarbonate panel, and because I couldn't get black polycarbonate panel, some of the guys suggested to me, well, why don't you just take it to your local tinting shop, and the same as what you would tint a car, and just tint it. And it sounded like a good idea at the stage, and I did it, and it looks pretty okay, but you got to be so careful because the tinting can come off, and if you drill wrong, you'll tear it. So in order to not tear the tinting and to be as careful as possible to keep it looking as real to the black polycarbonate as I could, I've added tape wherever I needed to drill holes. And maybe I'll just switch over to this. You can see I've drilled holes in a whole lot of places, right? And what I did was I took all my wire guides that I had printed over time and placed them in the right places, then marked the holes, and then drilled out wherever they were going to be. That way, when you put the drill through, you don't actually grip the tinting and you don't tear it. At the same time, if you look at the back side of this, oh my goodness, there my camera's gone and frozen. So let's just quickly get this side cam to work. There we go. There. Right. So on the other side, I've also put in tape wherever I was going to drill through, so that the tinting that's on this side would also not tear. Okay. And then I would take my drill and mark out where I wanted to, and then I would actually drill into the wood by pushing like this. And so far, I haven't had any major tears, maybe a little corner here or there, but in general, I've been able to keep the tinting from tearing, and I think it's going to work well. I put a light against it the other day, and just for interest sake, maybe I'll take this light. I don't know if we can get there. If I do that and I push the light the back there, you can see it slightly, right? But that has to be that's really a strong light. So as soon as you move the light away, you're not going to see it too much, and there's not much happening in the back of the panel. So it's going to give you this soft, subtle, and I say, flickering of lights in the background, which is quite nice to see, but you won't see all the boards and the components that much. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's see what it does. So I'm going to continue. What I'm going to do now is start pulling all this off, because I left it on specifically so that I could first show you before I pull this last bit of tape off. This is builder's tape. Painter's tape, right? So it's what they use for when you do painting. And what's nice about it, it's not as sticky, so it doesn't leave a residue on your stuff when you finish pulling it off. And yeah, there you see my wife just brought me some coffee. Thank you. And it pulls up pretty easily, and it's not a sticky residue, which is quite nice. So I would recommend using this. A lot of people actually print on painter's tape, okay, because if you're having adhesion problems with your bed, then it makes sense to actually print onto this, and it pulls off easily. And specifically, I think if the guys are printing on glass, the print can actually get stuck to the glass quite dramatically. And so this is one way. Instead of using a glue stick, you can use this tape. I've used this tape for so many different things. Better than masking tape in one way. Masking tape also has a little bit of more of a residue that is left behind, where this one doesn't. Just pull that off. And now the theory of my new camera is I should be able to, oh goodness, seems like my Bluetooth keeps getting confused between each other. Yes, somehow. Something I'll have to figure out along the way. If I can at least zoom out a little bit, you can see, you see how that pulling that tape off the wrong direction actually pulls the film. I don't think this is the best solution. Honestly, if you can get black polycarbonate, or then go ahead. I could have got black acrylic, but the problem with the acrylic is it because I'm going to be heating the chamber, I run the risk of having it warp, and I'm really going to be pushing the heat on this specific unit. So yeah, it's definitely something I want to make sure I've got the best possible heat material that shouldn't give me any hassles. Okay, so let's just see. Yeah. Again, somehow all the cameras keep going. I think what I've done is I've overloaded this PC a little bit. I think I've overloaded with too many USB devices, and I probably need to simplify my solution slightly at some stage. But I'll have a look at that again during the week. Actually quite satisfying pulling this off. But they say, how many people talk about the peel when you buy a new device and you peel it off the protection. This hole was, and we will use that hole because that was just part of the design. Actually, I didn't have a choice not to have that one printed. To laser cut because it was part of the design that I got from RatRig. I could have probably gone into CAD and tried to remove it, but I just thought I'd leave it there because I'm going to use it. I'll let the heater bed cable go through there and something out. Maybe one or two other things could also possibly go through there. My dad's online. Hi, Dad. Yeah, it's good to be back on. It's nice to. It's actually not. It's nice just to make progress because the printer's been standing around for quite some time and just not getting anywhere, making much progress. And yeah, I had so many. My father knows how many issues I had with the other printers. It was really challenging in that I just couldn't get one of my printers to work. So I eventually had to replace the main board, replace almost everything in that printer. And then I battled for a whole long time, and a guy in Canada helped me with the configuration eventually because I just was missing one stupid little setting, which didn't notice. But yeah, it's printing. It's printing again. Needs a bit of configuration, or at least calibration in terms of the filaments, but we'll get there. Okay, so let's get some of these panels doing. So I'm going to try and keep this view here for now. You'll see both sides, but and then sometimes I'm going to use maybe this one. Yeah, I think we'll use this one because this one just shows what I'm doing here, but this is the more important side. So these wire guides were something that I found on printables, and I would actually at some stage I'll probably link the guy's files to the he's linked to the YouTube video, and just in the description, and so that people can see where this. But he didn't have these lengths. I took his and modified it in Fusion 360. So that I could have the longer lengths, because I wanted to have full lengths running all over the show. So a little bit different. Let's start off with putting one of these. Now, unfortunately, due to the thickness and everything, I couldn't find the right size screws, and if I was going to buy the right screws, it would have taken me forever to get them. So this is the size screw bolt that I was using, and this one as well. And these would be obviously way too long for the whole setup, so a whole lot of cutting with the Dremel and going, and they were down to the size, right? And now they're the right size to be able to have them join, but not push against each other. On the inside from the printer, I'm going to be using some. Come on, where are you? There you go. There you go. I'm just using some plastic washers, and because you can actually, when you turn the actual nut and actual screw, you can actually pull this tinting loose. I only tighten from this side where I tighten against the plastic. Remember, this doesn't have to be very tight because it doesn't carry much weight. So I'm going to be using my little drill again, and I'll make sure I don't over tighten it. I've actually cracked one of the panels already by trying to see how tight I can go. Wasn't the best move, but okay. We learn from our mistakes. So that's going to go there. So let's grab these. You can see I'm just going to I cut them to the length where they just go through, right? And then that sits inside the panel but doesn't go all the way through, right? So that the actual guide can't move up and down. So let's put the first one in. It's my daughter just coming to tell me the sound is okay, which I appreciate. You don't always know when it's too late that people aren't hearing you. So on that side, a little bit tricky. One thing about cutting bolts like this is or cutting screws like this is when you cut them, to get them to actually have a point to go back in. When you're cutting that edge to get it of such a nature that it can go back in. So I was cutting it with a nut over the end, cutting it off, and then screwing the nut off to re-thread some of the thread back in place. And so in general it's worked well. I haven't had too many issues. One or two are a little bit challenging to get open or get started, but once they're in, they're okay. Alright, so that, and I'm not tightening it too tight at this point because I want to give it just that ability to move a little bit while I'm getting everything in place. So the next set is, I printed smaller ones that I want to have go in between. Okay, and in these ones, I've got these little. See if we can get it to focus. Come on, not going to focus for me. I'll put a hand over here. You can see there's a little piece sticking out the end there, right? And what that does is pretty much get stuck in between the grooves of the one that it's attaching to. Then it can't slide backwards and forwards. So I'm using only one bolt on the rails going between. And yeah, that's also saved me a bit of drilling and a bit of cutting. Let's see if we can get this one through. Right. I wanted to put this one, yeah. I should have printed these with holes in them, right? I didn't. I drilled the holes in. Obviously that weakens the structure because there's no outer walls around where I'm tightening on. But because I'm not really tightening it that much, and it doesn't need to move right, I thought it would be okay. Alright, so let's see if this works without freezing up the whole world. You see, every time I touch this thing, every time I touch that remote, my whole system goes down. So I've got to figure that out. Let's see, can we turn slightly? There we go. Okay, so that little piece at the bottom, if it's going to focus, yes, that little piece is just going to slot in on the end there, on the last slot. Okay, and then I can get this piece pushed up against the board, and I can turn the screen. You see the other camera is also now gone and frozen up. Looks like I'm gonna have to try not to use Zoom or something. I don't know. We'll have to see how I'm gonna fix that in the future. So let me just go back to this camera. There we go. There we go. Now, corner camera. Deactivate, deactivate. There we go. And then as soon as I activate it again, it's what they call the white balance disappears, and I've got to reset that as well. It's actually quite painful. Seems like tonight I'm going to have a lot of fun with cameras. Okay. Anyway, guys. So now that piece is pushed in there, right? It can't twist anymore. And I only need one screw over there. Now I can move to my next piece, which will go in over there. And again, we'll use that little latch to, let me see if I use that zoom, maybe then I won't have so many issues. Okay, let's try that. So I'll get into that little latch over there, and that'll hold it into place as well. All right. Push that through. A lot of drilling. Took ages to drill all of this. But you know, just take your time. Do it once, do it properly. It's what I wanted to try and achieve. And I think it looks quite nice when it's all together. Probably a matter of opinion. Some people might feel it's a total overkill of the green, but that's fine. Right. Although I think some people love the green. Here's my wife. Hello, wife. It's the one that just brought me some coffee. That's one thing I always had to do when the family was gone. I had to make sure I was fed up front, and I had made my own coffee up front and got everything. So I must say, not that that's the purpose of my family, but that it is nice to have that treatment. Talking of it, let me grab the coffee. Okay, so I'm going to move away from the other side camera. You're pretty much seeing what I've done on that side now. I'm just putting the screws in. Okay. Let's zoom out some more. You can see, as soon as I zoom, all the cameras go crazy, and that's probably a software that I need to sort out. Okay. Good. Let's move to the next one. I wonder if Mr. Brian is online. I can ask my father, Dad, did you get that link shared with all those other people? I know you wanted to share the link a little bit. When starting a channel like this and starting from scratch, it takes a bit of time until people actually get to know you. It takes a little while before you start seeing more and more people come in for the live sessions. That's why my focus over here is, yes, it's nice to do the live session, but ultimately we want to make sure that the something froze. Yeah, ultimately we want to make sure that we're just recording the sessions and that someone gets benefit out of these sessions going forward. You know, that's what I want to do. I'm trying to not rush it, try and take it slowly so that everybody can see. Okay, so up and down, and then let's grab the bottom one. And I'll do the top one last because I want to show you why I did it differently to the rest. Let's just want to check. Right. Again, needs to line up with that little notch at the bottom. And yeah, if you ever feel need these files, I'll try and do is at the end of building this printer, I'll try and put it all, link it all on printables, and link all the collections that I used to get to the point where I did, and then any modifications that I created, I'll put that on to link it as well and share it with you guys, that you can all use it if you wish. If you wish to go this far, if you wish to keep the panel very boring, well, not boring, very simple, let's use the word simple, basic, then yeah, you don't need to do all of this. You can just put 2 DIN rails running across and done. Slap everything together, use a couple of cable ties, and your wiring's done. This is over the top. But at the same time, I'm hoping that RatRig sees the effort that I've put in here, and maybe they'll reach out to me and ask me to do another build with one of their smaller printers. I'm not going to do another 500, I don't think, but I'd love to do another build for them, and just, you know, add some extras where I feel it makes a difference. Right. Why have I made a shorter panel for the top? Right, let me just turn this camera just a slight bit that you can see a bit better there. Do it like that, you see. If you have a look, I could have put this thing would have easily have gone underneath the motor, no problem, right? But I saw a modification of some guy on on YouTube and also on printables, called DJ Designs. And they actually take this motor and they drop it, and they put an extra shaft in, they put extra spring, and they put a damp on it, and apparently it smooths out your prints even further, and it also quietens down the machine. So I thought, well, that'll be a nice upgrade at some stage, so why not do it, you know? There is the printed part, right, that I need to print. I've already done the print. I just need to order the little shafts and things. I can do that a little bit later. But I thought, well, this is going to come in here. Basically, the motor is going to come down. This is going to go up to the top. The motor is going to come on beneath it, and in between there's going to be a damper. So it's going to come to roughly where the bottom of this is now. And I thought, well, all right, well, let's just leave the space for it, and then that's a future video that I can do when I get there. So hence a little bit of a shorter rail on the top. So Mr. Fig, you got a race starting soon? You can do a Zwift race while watching YouTube. I don't think it's a good idea. So I wonder what the new speculation is, and by the time people watch this video in the future, Bumble Labs is teased with some new color printing that's supposed to be going to make color printing so much easier. Look, the AMS with having to be able to select multiple filaments is already a big step ahead of many other people. And so if that's what they did on that, it's going to be quite amazing to see what they can come up with. And I'm looking quite forward to seeing what they bring out. I think there's a lot of speculation that it could be, it's not just for the Bambu Lab printer, that it will actually be a generic unit for many other people. So anybody with a printer might be able to use it. Well, that's what we're hoping, in one way. You know, the guys are good at their design, so hopefully they brought out something for everybody. Okay, here we go, a bit of noise, sorry. Seems like I have not got this one to attach somehow. Let's see if I can get this thing to screw. Okay, seems like this one doesn't want to work with us. Let's go check. Okay, I'm not going to mess around with that one. Oh, we might have to, because I think I've just got enough. Let's just see if we can get another one in here for now. Sometimes these screws, when you've cut them, it is so tricky to get them to line up again. That's why I really didn't want to cut them, because I really wanted to buy the size I wanted, but I couldn't find exactly the size I wanted. So I had to go with the alternative, which was a cut. Yeah, this one's doing the same. Not wanting to work with me. There we go. Hopefully that'll work. Oh, you. Can you believe it? I'm being the idiot. I'm using the wrong bit. It's just spinning in circles. Didn't check before I try to use it. That'll work. Oops. I'm also allowed to make mistakes. That one's also too small. Bigger one seems bigger. One last mistake. It's third time lucky, eh? Third time. Definitely looks like the right size now. Okay. Sounds like the right size as well. So on the back, I'm just holding it tight with the Allen key. I'm not turning it, because I don't want to move the plastic, or at least the tinting. And I'm not tightening it too much, because I will crush this, because there's no hole that was pre-printed, so there's no reinforcing around the holes. I'm just basically pushing against the infill. Not very clever. I might at some stage actually just completely redo it, take one for one and reprint them and replace them. But while I've got them like this, I will continue, because maybe I need to change the whole setup once I get to the end. So I thought, well, first go, and then we can improve later again. Could be another video, different project. So I've got to leave opportunity to make videos in the future. Right. So basically these clips just swing open and closed. Some of them print well, some of them print not so great. But when it's closed, it's as simple as there, it's done. Not going to come open. Right. And some of them are so tough that sometimes you have to use a screwdriver to get them back open. But that's what I'm going to rely on to make my cable management a bit neater. Right, then in between we've got DIN rails. Again, extra modifications here. I've got three different lengths. This bottom one is the same length as these two, so let's just put that in quickly. Oh goodness, come on. Sometimes you can just not get these to line up. Seriously? You want to make this whole stream about you? One single little screw? Come on, there we go. Right, you know where the coffee machine is, you know? No point in delivering. It'll be cold, man. You'll have to come over. Okay, this one, when I did drill it, I by accident made it a bit tighter than what I was supposed to. So there we go. That's that one. Right, now had I put the same length on the next row, I would have blocked this hole, so I did have to make one slightly shorter again. That's right, this machine is customization on customization on customization. Everything is built unique. Nothing you buy off the shelf. Again, you can go and watch lots of videos. Some of the guys just keep it very simple because they just want to get to the point of printing, which I did consider at a stage. But then I'd already embarked on this journey, so I thought, well, you might as well complete it now. This one was now again one of those that were a little bit tight for some other reason. I have to look at the back to try and see if I can line it up, because I don't think I drilled some of these holes that well. I think that's the pushed back. That. Let's see if I can grip it and just pull it. This one doesn't want to slip in. Oh, let's see if I help it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. These pieces that I printed for the end of the DIN rails actually were printed correctly. So they've actually got the pre-built holes inside them, drilled, printed with the hole in place. Camera doesn't want to focus. There we go. So I printed those the right size. So there will be 4 walls around that hole, so it can handle the actual pressure of pushing against. Right, and again, the top one had to be slightly shorter because of the reduced stuff. I can just quickly maybe show you like this. So I cut the rails up to the right length, cut a bit of a V angle in it. This is the actual piece that I printed. Right, so it's got a bit of reinforcing in the middle, in the front, so that it doesn't crush when I screw it, and it pretty much just slides into that groove. Again, the end rail pieces I got from a printables project that had been given, and then I modified it to what I required in Fusion 360. Let's put one more. These in here. Seems like I did drill a couple of extras. Yeah, taper screws. I think you actually get a thing that you turn the screw in that actually cuts the taper back into it. Would be nice, but again, at the price of having to buy that versus I'm now finished, I think my method worked. It's not the most elegant method, and it does give me a bit of frustration, but it's not that bad. That's why I definitely, when I cut, I put a nut on it first, and I actually cut against the nut to give me the right length, and that's what helped most of these to be able to be turned back on, because if you don't put that nut on and you cut it, then it's really difficult to get the bit of the filing or the burr out of the thread again. But it's there, it's done, it's working. Did I do these bottom ones? I don't remember now. And that's it. I have got, let me just show you again from the back side. Is this still focused? No, it's frozen as well. Just activate it. Oh man, this zooming on this thing's really, I've got to figure that out. That's not going to work for me. Keeps messing up all my settings. So these screws actually, with this printer being so bulky and rugged, it actually goes with the whole thing. This little bit of studs all over actually suits the printer somehow. And at any stage that I want to attach anything to this panel at the back, I could actually I could remove one of these and then use these as anchor points as well going forward. So it serves double purpose being over there for a later stage. I'm actually thinking the bottom ones over here is where my PTC fans will be here, and I'm actually going to use these as anchor points again for the PTC fans as well to hold them in place. Okay, so that's pretty much the rails attached. I've got lots and lots and lots of these clips that will go across here. What I decided to do was I would just put them in strategic places initially, so that I could get the cable to lie sort of in the right place while threading it through. So let me just quickly put these clips in the places where I thought I need them. And leave two open. Leave two open. This is just going to help me when I'm putting the wires in to actually keep them in place. Why does it look different? This one, and it's two open, two open, two open, two open. And then it's one to each. Okay, that's what I did. It looked funny for a second there. Alright. And you'll see the clips are in opposite directions. It's simply because this thing has a specific spacer that I wanted against this rail to give me a bit of space, so I had to swap them around. I could have probably redesigned the whole thing, but I thought it doesn't really make a difference when it's closed. It's just going to be in the right place in any case. So let's do that. I want to put one down here. So that one off. If I want to remove them, I'll just take a screwdriver and pop it open. That one off. Put that one in there. Okay. And we're going to then put one in the middle of this. I specifically lined these up so that you would have two slots to run wires through. Let's see how that's going to work. If that doesn't work, I might even have to cut this piece out so that I've got an easier way of moving the wires through. But we'll see. That's something I will determine as we're going with the wires. And the biggest problem is the AC wires, which are a little bit thicker than the rest. What we're also going to do now is start with some of the mounting of the panels and stuff. So in a moment I'll get to showing you some of the panels, the different boards and the types of fittings that I've created that help me actually mount this. Why do we use DIN rails? Because in the future, if I want to move things off or get things out, I don't have to get inside the machine and screw it off. So the DIN rails just make life a little bit easier. I can move things around and space them up. Again, some people don't do that. They just use double-sided tape stuff and just stick it to the back of the machine, which you can do. You can just screw it, drill holes and screw it directly as well. But most of the guys that want to do a little bit more effort and want their machine to look a little bit more niche, and that want the flexibility, specifically for the flexibility, we go down this road of over engineering slightly. Yes, this is a lot of printing. It takes ages to print all these little pieces. For this one, I'm actually going to put one just over here, because I want it in the middle of that run. Maybe just do one there. That off. There. And then top. Come on. These two top rails were printed with a different pitchy plastic. I was going to do everything in ASA, but I didn't have enough of ASA, so I just decided to go with pitchy on the back, because the heat on the back won't be that intense, so it shouldn't cause any issues. Okay. That one there, that one there. That there. Okay, so I think we've got an even spread of clips everywhere. Or just help in the meantime getting the wires in place. The original RatRig system comes with this wire guide system, and I think that's where the design pretty much started out with. And these clips don't open and close like the bigger one does, and this one's much deeper and much wider than that one, so it gives me also a lot more flexibility in terms of getting the cables through. There's that one there, that one's fine. One more black one for down the bottom here. Right, okay, so we've got enough there. Right, now we go to the panels. Let me drink this finish. Move that out of the way. And mind this keyboard, because I don't think I'll be typing much. Hopefully not. Let's have a look at power supply. So, do I have a spare piece of DIN rail lying close by? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have a piece of DIN rail lying. Oh, there's one there. Let me grab that quickly. So I want to show you just in terms of DIN rail. So we print these little clips, right? And they've got a little springy part inside there. This thing moves up and down. You can see it over there. And so basically that's just going to clip on that side. Well, on the bottom side with the springy portion, compress it, and there it clamps on. And that's how that DIN rail actually is going to clamp on. So we print these DIN rail clips based on whatever fitting we have. So on the back of the power supply, got two already in there, and you'll see that, let me hold it this way. So the spring side, well, the spring side, which is that with the compressors, we're going to put that on the bottom, and we're going to hang from the solid lip always, so that if we do have a bit of heat, it doesn't sag. And this power supply, I'm planning to put roughly over there. Okay. I'm planning to most likely put this power supply. This power supply is for the Raspberry Pi on its own, nothing else. I'm going to put that close to the Raspberry Pi. I'm not clipping it in now because I first want to just have a look at what I'm doing, make sure it all makes sense before I clip them in, because to get them off you have to actually put a screw at the dryer at the back and pull them or wiggle them, and I don't want to wiggle them too much, so they're happy to hang like that until I'm fine, and then I can just clip them in finally. Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi, I've got a heatsink on my Raspberry Pi, okay, but luckily the bracket I have actually fits on the bottom of the Raspberry Pi quite nicely. So that one I'm planning most likely to have over there. I already see a problem with the bracket I've got. I might have to reprint and redesign that this actually moves up slightly, that it's more up there, because my USB ports might be a bit of a challenge to get to. And even if I could possibly turn it around, but it's not going to be that much of a difference. So either that, or I'm going to print a complete new one and turn the Raspberry Pi on its side. But for now, it's fine. I can just hang like it. We'll figure it out as we go along. Okay. Then my main board. Let me bring you onto the table here now. The main board, I need to still mount to the actual plastic mount that I've created. Let me just, again, white balance has all gone crazier. Do that, you see a bit better. So this is the mount that I've printed, right? It's got the DIN rail built into it, the DIN clips, and that's just going to mount on top of there, right? But as you can see, there isn't any screws in there yet, so quickly we come around and we're going to do some heat inserts again. We haven't done those for a while. I'm going to use these ones. Let's get some heat inserts out. Shouldn't take us too long to get them in. Trusted little piece of metal. Let me just turn it a little bit like that so that you can, for those that haven't joined previously, you can see. Then get it close and just squeeze it down with the metal. Gives it a nice flush. Seating. Just be super careful when putting heat inserts into PLA and PETG. Remember, it's a lot softer, so just disappears very quickly. You can actually push it through quite deep without even intending to push it that deep. Whereas on ASA and ABS, it's a little bit tougher, so it takes a little bit more effort to melt in. Right, those are done. While I'm busy, I need to put on both of these. I'll show you now. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to be doing here as well. So for my wiring, because I've got to distribute AC quite a bit with the PTC heaters I've got, I printed a little housing that holds a DIN, what they call a Wago connector, right? And this Wago connector just flaps open like that, and you can push a wire in, and then you can clip it closed. Very, very nice little clips. And these will just slot into here, and then I'll just put a dab of glue on at some stage, just so that they get held in properly, and it'll look like that, right? And these are also going to be on the DIN rails. And I've got a 24 volt one that I printed. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to use this yet. I first want to look at my wiring and then see. But if need be, I'll use this. Now, it didn't come with the writing. I put this embossed writing on it. Again, I got the basic item from printables, and then I just modified what I want. On this one, I specifically put live, earth, and neutral. Just being fancy. You could probably read from the colors when you put on. So again, I need these DIN connectors to be able to mount these, because these didn't come with DIN built into them. All right. So not to make a mistake now, they've got to be this way around, and I need that one, that one. Okay. What did I do with? Feels like I'm missing one specific. I made shorter ones. Why? Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to put the things in for the 24 volt, whether I'm going to use them or not. Then on the SSRs, the solid state relays, I'm also going to put them on DIN rails, although I could probably just mount them directly. They've got this plate at the back here, and again, I've just printed the right size. I've modified it and printed it to the right size so that I can clip these on, so that I can move them around as well. Just makes life a little bit easier. So let's put, we're going to do a whole lot of these heat inserts. Let's get going. Ouch, those are hot. Probably need to take caution when I put my fingers there. Again, these things aren't going to carry much weight, so I'm not too worried about how strong they are. Goodness gracious, they are bouncy. quite different doing a stream when your family's at home. You've got to sort of arrange a time. Say to them, guys, I'm going to stream. You wouldn't mind. I've got to use that. I haven't got a studio or a workshop as such. My workshop is my study area, which is a part of an open plan area. So unfortunately, my family have to give me a bit of space. But I'm sure they don't mind. There we go. I could have probably have used a bit of a bigger threaded insert on this. We'll see. I can always take it out and put a bigger one in. Yeah, you can remove these things. You just leave a bit of a hole. Then you just put a piece of filament in the hole, and you put your new threaded insert in place. You push it with that piece of filament, and it's like adding extra bit of polyfiller to a hole in the wall, and then putting a screw into it. Works the same. Okay, is that all the inserts? I think. No, let me do one more insert and let me show you why. This is the fan. It's going to be sitting on top of my board to keep it nice and cool. Right. Now, I already see one issue, that my fan's going to stick out quite a bit. So I might be modifying this fan slightly. We'll see how it goes. But the intention was for that to be like that. And then that goes over. Now, the distance that I have between the fan and the board is enormous. So probably I'm not going to do it on this stream. What I'll do is, I'm not going to put the heat inserts here now. I'm either going to reprint this with shorter legs. Sorry, like this. I'm probably going to shorten these legs slightly, just by maybe a centimeter or so. And then I'll put heat inserts, or I'm just going to cut these off, see how straight I can cut them off, and then put the insert in, because these holes go quite deep. And then with that being there, we'll see how close I need to be. Let's quickly put some, because the board is pushing directly onto the plastic, I'm going to just put some nylon spacers in. Now, these nylon spacers came with the RatRig. Now, I can't remember if I ordered them separate specifically, or if they for a specific reason on the RatRig. And so there's only one way to find out, and that's actually to use them, and then hopefully I don't need them later on for something else. Just check the length. That's more than enough. Alright, let's check that in there. Some form of Allen key that's going to go into that hole. Oop. Yep. There we go. And these things don't come with all these extra screws, and bolts don't typically come with the printer if you don't order the main board from RatRig themselves. So do take note that if you decide to go with your own board, you're going to have to buy your own screws. I'm actually not 100% certain whether they're actually going to supply you everything, but I would assume so. I would assume if you're going to buy the big TreeTech board from them, that they're going to most likely put the screws in that you can attach it with. I opted not to buy the standard board that comes with. So how many people do we have online, just for interest's sake? How many people aren't saying hello? Yeah, there's been 9 people online already. So, interesting. Now we have back down to 4 again. Okay, well, any case. Terry's busy. Okay, so those spaces just gave me the space off the main board, and I don't have to make them terribly tight because it's not going to make too much difference. So they don't really do much, they just sit still. Okay, so now if I bring this thing back and I put this, disconnect here. These are Noctua, this is a Noctua fan, right? Noctuas make one of the quietest fans in the market. They're a little bit more expensive, and Noctua always used to make brown fans. Now they have the Chroma Max series, which is the black series as well. You pay a little bit more, but it's nice to have their fans because the brown just never suited anything really. It was just totally odd. I haven't screwed this in yet. I will still screw it in, but that's going to sit like that. So let me try and hold it all together and then give you that view. So as you can see, I've got lots of space in there. I've got a good 1.5 centimeters before I even get close to the drivers, right? So I can really drop that, because with that being on there, 1.5 centimeters can make quite a difference in the amount that will be sticking out the back. So yeah, we're going to do that. I'm not going to put this on at this moment. This is just going to lie on the side, because at the moment we just want this board. Plan for this board is the following. It's sort of going to go there. Let me give you a different view over there. 2 reasons why I want it over there is, one, because some of the wires will go through this hole. I want to put my 24 volt rail up here. So I want my AC coming in, and I want my 24 volt going up to this rail and then back down to the board and to wherever else I need 24 volts. That was sort of the plan. I'm not 100% sure whether I need the 24 volts in or not. I might remove this off there, but in any case, we're going to go through there. And up to the printer head, we've only got a few cables that are going to come down and then run into this. Between the Raspberry Pi, we've got USB-C coming from there to there. Let's have a look at doing the AC stuff. Trying to make sure I don't get them all confused. Let's go this side. Okay. Now these are supposed to be countersunk screws. I don't have countersunk screws, but button heads will just do fine. So by the way, I did do it the right way. Yeah. I just wanted to check that the springy side's down at the bottom, not at the top. Always want the springy side on the on the bottom. So with this one staying like this, springy side on the bottom. Put one to there. Right. We have a couple of these. Another one over here. Let's go this way. Did I put this one the right way? Yeah, it's going to hang on there. I'm double guessing myself over there now. Right, straight through there. If you're following the RatRig guide, they're going to sort of push you down the road of assembly of your 24 volt system first. Get your 24 volts in place, and then they sort of then do the AC voltage afterwards. I'm going to go a little bit of a different route. From pretty much from here onwards, I'm going to follow a little bit my own sequence, simply because I want to logically step through it. So I'm going to get my AC in place, get everything lined up with the AC, check that the AC is working fine, switch on, switch off, right, test, everything's where it must be. Then I'm going to, from that point, I'm going to what? I'm going to start connecting my DC to my boards, power them up, right? And make sure that that's right. And then I'm going to go to the components of actually bringing and connecting everything onto the board. So this is my live and earth connection at this point. I think what I'm going to do, just now, I'm going to put these on the bottom rail. I don't need both sides. I can do without both sides, but if I need to, I can put another set of Wago on top and then just bridge across. Right, so that's sort of going to sit over there. Then I need to do these SSRs. What size screw do I need here? That's more than enough. All right. Okay, I'm just now thinking about this. I'm actually going to install these slightly upside down. Let me just switch over to the table. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. So if I take maybe this cover off, you've got 4 connectors on the SSR, right? You've got your input, which is a 5 to 24 volt signal that comes in, which basically is the switch. When your main board sends voltage to this, it closes the circuit, it basically switches on the SSR. I'm not talking very layman's term what this does. It switches the thing on, and your AC voltage is going to come in over here on the load side, right? And so whatever AC device that you have is going to come from your main AC supply, come along. The neutral may go directly to whichever it is, like the bed or the PTC heaters or something like that. But your live wire will come in here and then come out here and then go to the device. So that when this switches on, AC will then flow through. When this switches off, this connection is broken and the AC no longer works. Okay. Now, typically you would want to put these the right way around, that they actually read right. But in this case, because I'm going to be running AC down the bottom here and into this for distribution of AC, right? I'm going to turn this thing upside down so that I can just loop my wires from there to there without having to go all the way around to get AC and then go all the way around to get the DC to go up. I'm going to put these upside down. Okay, so with that being said, that's upside down. So now that's the top, and I want the solid piece at the top, and I want that piece down there. Right. Again, I'm just trying to make my wiring as simple as possible for myself. So now I've got these 4 nylon spaces, which I don't really want to lose. So let me just put them back into a packet before they go flying all over. Oh no, we don't want that one. Table and zoom. That's what I wanted. Okay, so some more small screws needed. Let's have a look. Yeah, that thing's. Is that screwed long enough? It is long enough. No, it doesn't have to go any deeper than that. And again, I've gripped the wrong ones here. Okay, that's not for that. These are for this. That'll be like that. And I want it like that. Funny that you're going to get your DIN, every single little DIN clip that you build, you have to sort of judge the new size of the device that you're going to clip. Now luckily, I just took these ones, and I shrunk the Y axis just by like 5%, so these would fit on the SSRs. That little bit of shrinkage doesn't really change the clip that much and the spring that much, so it just compresses it slightly, but it works fine. You can see I'm able to tighten that down, no problem. Okay, and so that one most likely going to land up there. Let's cover back on. That one's going to lie there. And I have another one over here. Why do I have 2? One for the PTC heaters, one for the AC bed. Upside down. That. Let's get a link from there. I can hear a dog having a good snore in the background somewhere. I think luckily my mic doesn't pick up all the surrounding noises. I must say I've been pretty impressed with this little lapel mic. It's from Razer, gaming guys, but it's really been a superb mic so far. If you charge it. If you forget to charge it, then yeah, then you talk to yourself for quite some time before you actually realize someone is saying, we can't hear you. Okay, so that's the second SSR that I'm going to hang there. Starting to fill up, quite a bit. Starting to look more like a printer every day. Let's put this 24. I'm going to put this 24 rail together. I don't know if I'm going to actually use it. We'll see. I don't know. You know, definitely I've got a lot of neutral connections that I can bring together, maybe. But I'm not quite sure if I'm going to use it. But yeah, let's just do it. So let me tell you, I had so much challenges with my other printers. It was just not funny. Just trying to get it to work, and you know, with the other printers, they also are on Clipper, like the RatOS we installed over here, but they're just on plain Clipper. And I'm using in the CR10, I'm using a Duet 3 board, the 5 mini Wi-Fi Plus board, and unfortunately I didn't realize that the way it measures voltage on the motors was with a different what we call a sense resistor, and so I had the wrong value. I had the default value in, which didn't work, and I was actually burning the motors up unknowingly, which was causing me, nothing was working. The printer kept freezing and falling to pieces, and just didn't want to listen to me. And eventually the guy, Rex, someone from, I think he's in Canada, helped me. He saw that I'd missed a small little vital configuration. Man, that solved a lot of issues. Okay, so I think that's my layout. Where are we for time? We've got half an hour still, 25 minutes. So what I'm going to do in the 25 minutes, I'm going to show you, just this way we'll go inside, yeah. Let's just say for argument's sake or something like that. I want to show you another panel that I created. So waiting for new fuse holders to arrive. I don't like these fuse holders. I will be replacing with flatter ones that are nicer. This panel is for one switching on the Raspberry Pi, and then the other one will be for switching on the main board. So effectively, this switch will power this power supply, which will power the Raspberry Pi, and this switch will power this power supply, which will power this board, and a couple of one or two other small little things maybe. Okay, so I did print that, and what this thing is supposed to be capable of doing, and what I'm going to try and show you now by turning this slightly. Let's see, let me move this camera a little bit further back, and I'm going to try and turn this printer without dropping it off the edge of the table, yeah. Okay. Alright. Let's put it like that for now. And then if I switch to this camera, you should be able to see this edge here. This panel will be sitting over here, like that. And then allow me to plug my plug-in, my power, and then switch on the power. And that's why the power supply is right over here. It just makes life a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is I need to put some heat inserts for this inside this housing, and then we'll start doing some of the wiring. Maybe I'll explain these switches. I'll explain these switches as well, how I'm going to wire them up, because they've got lights in them, indicator lights inside the switches. I can explain that a little bit, and then I think by that time we should be time up for tonight. And then when we come back next time, we will start wiring all the AC on the board, on the printer. So I'm going to swing this back so it's not light. I always got to ask someone to come help me carry this machine up. So let's switch to no, not that one. That's not going to help me much. I want that one. Okay. So again, heat inserts I need to put inside over here. Again, this panel, the main panel, this panel, was something that I found online. It had a total different configuration over here. I pulled it in Fusion 360, closed up what was there, and then I designed the panel so that I could push my plugs in. These are clip-ins, so they actually squeeze out when you push them through. And these ones have got screw threads, but what I'm waiting for is the ones that are coming most likely tomorrow or the day afterwards. They've got lugs, so I don't want to solder. I really want to avoid soldering anything on this printer. So I want to use your standard wire lugs. Something like, where are you now, Mr. Lug? Lugs like these, right? So that when you push them on, it's covered, nice and clean. There's no risk of getting your fingers in there and being electrocuted. So that's what I want to do. I want to try and make sure that all my stuff got those lugs on. So let's put the heat insert. Take two of these that are lying here and reutilize them. They come from a previous print. Again, I don't believe in throwing the inserts away if you can recover. They're quite expensive. So if you can reuse them, try and save them from your other projects. Just want to get that. Sorry, I'm not giving you the best angle to view what I'm doing, but I'm holding it with my stomach and my body so that I can get a flat surface. There we go. There we go. Two inserts put in there. And I can push this thing like that. And again, it's supposed to be countersunk screws. I don't have countersunk screws, so button screws will just have to do the job. Let's use two dark black ones. They look at least the same. Yeah, just when you think you've bought every single screw you could possibly need, and you realize, oh goodness, I could have bought that, and I could have bought that. And the problem is you can't buy one screw, two screws, you've got to buy a whole kit every time. So then you tend to get a whole lot of screws you don't need as well. Okay, right, so that's that. What I'm going to do is just explain as well, like this. So on the back, you're not going to be able to see it that well. I don't know if it'll focus. It won't focus there. What happens if I use this camera? Let's see. Let's see if you can see. You should be able to see a little L and an N on those terminals on the side of the plug there, right? And in the middle is earth. So the L is for live and the N is for neutral. Okay. So what we're going to do is from the live, right? We're going to go to the fuse, and from the fuse we're going to go to the switch, and then from the other side of the switch we're going to come out and we're going to go to where we need to in terms of live. Now you'll see on these switches you've got these rocker switches, AC rocker switches. These are 15 amp or 16 amp rocker switches, right? You'll see these two are silver and this one's copper. Okay, and this is the switch part, right? So if you, let me grab my multimeter and I'll just show you, just so that you know. If you put your multimeter tester over that one, sorry, the two silver ones, right, and you flip the switch on the other side, you should be hearing the buzzer. I hope you can. Right, you know, that's your switch portion, right? If you do connect on the copper one on the copper, one on the silver, you can flip it as much as you like. It's not going to happen because that copper one is the internal light on the switch. It needs power to light up the little 220 volt globe that's inside there, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to drive live coming in here, live going out, and to wherever your live panel is. Same again, I'm going to take live from here, I'm going to go to this fuse, I'm going to go into this fuse and out this fuse, into this switch and out of the switch and to wherever I need to be, right? And then the neutral I'm going to take to this switch, to this connector and to this connector, right? Because neutral needs to connect to that so that when you flip this, there's voltage over this terminal and this terminal, which will then light up your little light inside. Okay, and from there I'm then going to take one neutral and go to my neutral bar. Now my neutral bar is the same for everything, right? But my live I'm splitting out between the two different power supplies that I'm going to be using. As I said, I think what I will be doing is I'll be taking the red switch, right, and I'm going to take the red switch, let's just do it this way, right? I'm going to take the red switch, feed this AC over here, but at the same time bring it down and bring in my live and my neutral over here, because from here I can do power these two boxes with the AC that I need, right? And the PTC heaters that'll come back will connect here to this neutral. And then from that side we will obviously collect positive and negative from the main board. We are going to earth the aluminium housing, so we're going to run earth from the center switch, right? Center terminal. We're going to run an earth to the earth on this power supply and on this power supply, and then we're also going to earth it onto the aluminium, although it's coated, right? It's still a good idea to do it. And then on the main print bed, it's an AC heater, and because the AC heater can short, you're going to put a earth wire. I'm going to put an earth wire onto the aluminium bed as well, just so that if something happens, it'll trip the whole system as well. So I'll be sending an earth wire through this hole to the bed as well. And that's all that I'll do from an earth perspective. So what can I wire now? Actually, without those two fuse holders being in place, I actually can't really do any wiring at this point in time, because the live is going to go through here. I could take the neutral and put it over there, but it's pretty pointless. I think we will just do that next with the next session. What I'm going to do before we get to the next session, I will make sure that I've actually tested if my USB cables are going to fit in here with all the plugs, and maybe I'll redesign that. Yeah, and then I'm not going to do too much more because I want to do everything real time and live with you, to make sure that I cover as much of the steps there. I've seen a lot of people battle with that have done streaming to actually logically work out how this works, and how the AC works, and how the SSRs work, and how to connect them. So I want to do it step for step. I want to get the AC up and running. I want to show you that the AC is working. I then want to get the next step, bring the 24 volt DC and the 5 volt DC into the devices, power them up, show that we can connect to them again. We can make sure they're all up and running. And then once we've done that, then we'll go into the machine and start connecting all the motors and bringing the motor wires back and where it might be. I think probably going to need quite a bit of drilling again for the motor wires. There is no, as far as I know, there's no channel available, although I think I might be able to run the wire inside this channel over here and through without having to drill a hole. That would be very good for me, because I don't want to drill holes unnecessarily in this panel, because I want to try and keep the heat on that side and this side cool. Just remembered I've got, I guess, yeah, so there's this hole that's in the middle here. Obviously that's could be a little bit sharp, so I've got the little, oh, I've got a grommet screw type thing. I don't know what they call it. They've got a name for it somewhere over there, which basically just allows the wires to go through without having to touch sharp edges. So this will just sit over there, and thank goodness I cut that thing just a little bit shorter, because otherwise that would not have screwed on now. You could use a rubber grommet as well if you want. That will just look nice from the other side as well. Okay, so I think that's where I'm going to call it a night. I hope you like what you're seeing. I hope it's interesting. It's going to be very colorful when it's done. but I'm sure my wiring will be easy enough to manage and neat enough to, you know, so that I've done a good job to make it look as fancy as possible at the back. And then I turn the machine around and put it against the wall, and we don't ever get to see it again. So silly, but you know what? It's what I want. I want it to look nice when I'm finished, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. So with that, I bid you all a good evening, and hopefully we will see each other soon. I don't know when the next stream will be, but there's no reason for me to do it pretty soon. So it'll probably be I doubt we'll do it on the weekend. I might have time to do one on the weekend. Let's see how it goes. But if I don't have time on the weekend, then it'll be a midweek next week sometime again. Have a good evening. Cheers. Keep it safe.